Good morning. I'm Carolyn J. Carpenter with Hollywood Gatekeepers, and we are doing our daily check-in where we just check in for a quick, what my friend calls knowledge bomb. Like, we're just going to share a quick topic because right now enrollment into our Hollywood Gatekeepers program is open. It's very exciting. So we open enrollment into our Hollywood Gatekeepers program every great once in a while, and while we do that, we talk about different topics about being a reader. So today, I thought I'd talk about why Hollywood Gatekeepers. Why? So I'm talking about why in terms of why did we create Hollywood Gatekeepers and why are there Hollywood Gatekeepers? What is a Hollywood Gatekeeper and why do they exist? And how can you become one is where we end up. So basically, Hollywood Gatekeepers, there are many people that fit under the umbrella of being a Hollywood Gatekeeper. A Hollywood Gatekeeper is basically someone who decides what movie to make. So if you want to really get around the system of being a Hollywood Gatekeeper or getting your screenplay through to a Hollywood Gatekeeper, getting it past them, make your own movie. That's the easiest way. Well, I don't know if that's easy, but that's a surefire way. Like if you want to get past a Hollywood Gatekeeper, be a Hollywood Gatekeeper. So a Hollywood Gatekeeper is someone who decides what movie projects are going to be done next. So sometimes producers can be known as that. Sometimes a studio head, they would definitely be a Hollywood Gatekeeper because they're the ones deciding what movies their studios are ultimately going to make, or they run the studio and they leave that decision to the people who work there, including producers. Development executives are, they're sort of behind the scenes. You don't hear too much about a development executive. A development executive is a reader is in the development department, meaning they're developing the script. So script will come into the development department and typically it will go to a producer. Sometimes it's a producer / development director. Sometimes there's a producer who then has a development director who's just solely working on getting the scripts ready. And then there's also a story editor that edits the story and edits the screenplay. And then that story editor will give the screenplay to a reader. And then the reader will read the screenplay, do what's called coverage, kind of like a book report. And then it goes back up the chain. So all of those people are gatekeepers, basically. They're all the people that are making the decisions about whether or not, if you're a writer, your screenplay should move to whatever the next step is in their company in order to get produced into a movie. That is a Hollywood Gatekeeper. You hear this term quite often. It's a very common term in the movie industry, people talking about the gatekeepers. Well, it's more common in the writing industry, actually, than you hear it amongst producers. They don't refer to themselves that way. They don't walk around going, I'm a gatekeeper. Like, I don't know if I've ever heard them do that. But you do hear it in the writers world a lot, where it's like screenwriters, and you'll see it on Facebook, and you'll see like writers trying to break in. They talk about the gatekeeper. How do I get past the gatekeeper? It's like a big deal about the gatekeeper. So when I decided one day, like I decided in an instant that I wanted to be a reader. And I had the same reaction that I see in here to a lot of people when I was at a conference and I heard about the panel was there talking about how to get your script past the gatekeeper. And they started talking about readers. And I was like, readers? Kind of like how people come in here like, what? Wait, what? What is a reader? And I'm like raising my hand, like, what is a reader? And they explained what a reader is. And it's someone who's the first person to get that screenplay, write what's known as coverage, kind of like that book report that I mentioned, where they talk about what is the screenplay about and whether or not it works and should get made. And it's like, I was like, I am in. Like in that moment, I was like, I'm in. That's what I'm going to do. I said to the woman that was running the conference, I'm going to be a reader. And in a few years, I'm going to be on that panel and I'm going to be talking about reader. And that's exactly what happened because I was so single-minded. I left the conference that day. I came back going, hi, I'm a reader. Like I just started introducing myself to people as a reader that day and started my career as a gatekeeper. Hey, Dad. So that's how it's done. Like it's how anything is done, in my opinion, is that you make the decision that that's who you are. And I think that one of the big obstacles that people have in becoming whatever they want to be. We had someone in the MasterClass yesterday that was like, was this good? I want to be an actor. And I'm like, well, I would love to have you in the program. We have a whole section for actors. But if you're an actor, go be an actor. Like single-minded focus on that thing. 10,000 hours, that is the thing. And that's, if you're going to write your screenplay, I think there's a big secret about getting your screenplay done. Like this is what all the Oscar winners do. And here I'm going to give you the secret sauce about how to get your screenplay done. You sit down and you write it. I don't mean to be facetious or disrespectful in any way. I'm really just saying that if you want something, you sit down and you decide to do it. And so I sit down, I was like, I'm going to be a reader. So worked it out. pounded the pavement for a while, like figured out how to be a reader. Started interning, started pounding the pavement, worked my way till I was major, that's my career. So over the years, it's morphed and changed, and I've been a producer, and I've been a development director, and I've been a story. I've moved around a lot of different ways. I've never been a story editor, but I've been a script doctor, where they hired me because I'm also a writer. They would hire me to just fix screenplays. Once you get a relationship with someone and they trust you, then they're like, you know what? Why don't you just rewrite this? Because they get to know your writing through your coverages. So it's a really great career for people that are writers, because you make relationships. As long as you're not, that guy that walks in and is like, I want to be a reader, but I'm a writer, read my screenplay. As long as you're not like, do you need my screenplay? Because I have a backpack and there 10 of them are in here. That actually might work because it's funny. But it's like, as long as you're just, you form the relationship first, you do your job well as a reader, and you develop those relationships, and they get to know your writing style just from your coverages. So then it can lead into actual writing gigs. So it's like, that idea of forming that relationship, that idea, I pounded the pavement. I worked with a lot of different companies, a lot of different kinds of producers. I started seeing the same mistakes over and over again with writers. So I started working with writers to get their screenplay in shape. And so that idea of consulting and helping the writers, that really, I think, is one of the reasons why I've been so successful as a reader, is because I really care about the writer. And I really think that a reader should be a champion for a writer, and that we are actually, even though we're known as the Hollywood Gatekeeper, we're the ones trying to break that gate in. We're like, let's find something really great about this screenplay. And I believe that if all screenplays are bad, that it's not the screenplays, it's you. I really think that someone sits down to write a screenplay because they have a reason they want to write a screenplay. There's a story they need to tell. There's something they're inspired. They can't not write. There's something, and we need to honor that as readers, where we get in there and we go give this some credence because this person wrote a screenplay. So many people talk about how they're going to write a screenplay. We need to really honor the people that actually do the secret sauce, sit their butt in a chair and get their screenplay done. And I really felt that from the very beginning. I was always, as a reader, coming from a place of, how can we help? How can we help? And it's a place of service. Being a reader, to me, is a job of service. You are serving a producer, you are serving a writer, and you are figuring out how to get the producer the best script that they can make it for a movie, and how you're getting that writer to write the best script that the producer can find. That is your job, and it's so cool, right? So one of the things is that I realized, and Doug Shaner, I met him because he hired me to consult on a screenplay. Years and years later, we were reading a coverage of a screenplay, that we always get coverage on our screenplays whenever we write one from someone we don't know to get an unbiased opinion. And we got the coverage back, and it was written really well, and we were shocked. And then it was like, wow, we're shocked that this coverage is written well. And it was like, oh, that's kind of a bummer that we have this opinion that most coverages aren't written very well. And so it was like, yeah, and we're kind of joking. We're like, yeah, because no one teaches anybody actually how to do this. You learn on the job, typically. You might learn, if you've gone to film school, there might be a little class. If you can take a writing class about how to write a screenplay. But coming to a screenplay from a reader's perspective is much different than from a writer's perspective, because you are that go-between between the script and the screen. So you're not only just, the writer has a vision and has a voice, but what you're doing is, how can I take that actual voice that I'm reading right here and match it to the producer that I'm reading for? How do I marry these two things together? It's a different perspective than when you're just getting a screenplay out because you're passionate about the story. So when you come in and you're learning as a reader, I've learned by trial and error, which is totally makes me cringe at the idea that people are submitting their screenplays and I'm learning how to be a reader on their submission. How many of you have written a screenplay where you're like, that reader didn't even understand what I was trying to do? That's what we want to train readers to do, is to find, at least look we actually call it the look method. How do you look and find the nuances in a screenplay to help that writer out? And so when we realized that there aren't very many people that write really good coverage, it was like, you know what? Let's change that. Let's do something to create readers that understand the process, not just readers that understand that a screenplay is 90 to 120 pages, not just readers that know what an inciting incident is. We're talking about readers that are champions for that writers. We're talking about readers that are that support system for a producer. We're talking about readers that are so passionate about a story that they want to grab that script, they want to grab that producer, they want to marry it together to create something spectacular. That's the kind of reader that we're talking about here in Hollywood Gatekeepers. And that's the kind of reader that we want to promote, that we want to train, that we want to put out into the world. We are raising the bar, and we are serious about this. So we're going to raise the bar so that your coverage, when you learn how to write a coverage from us, it's a totally different coverage than anyone has ever seen before. And we are getting producers writing letters to the readers that have gone through our programs that say, your coverage is unbelievable. It's like you have a way that you're doing this that makes it about the script, not about how smart and funny you can be. It's about the script. Good, fair, bad, average, doesn't matter. All you're trying to do is get that script to the next level. Producers are noticing the coverages that are written by the writers that go through our trainings. I get a little bit fired up. Calm down. That's why we had the MasterClass. That's why we created Hollywood Gatekeepers. That's why we want you to become a Hollywood Gatekeepers in the method that we have put together, because I really feel so passionately that we need this. We need people to support those writers. Those producers need reliable, trusted advisors that can help them pick the project that is going to make or break their career as well. So that's what we're here. That's the why. That's what we're doing. Join us in the MasterClass, hollywoodgatekeepers.com/masterclass, and we'll see you there. We'll talk to you soon.